Thelema, Coast to Coast, Show 26, May 18th, 2006. Do what thou wilt should be the whole of the law. Welcome to Thelema Coast to Coast. My name is John Crow, and I'm the host of the show. The first thing I'd like to do is apologize to the listeners of Show 25. It appears that there was an initial mixing problem, and about 100 people downloaded the version that was mixed incorrectly. I appreciate the 5 listeners who emailed to let me know the problem. I was able to fix it in the morning, the day after, and so it wasn't that bad, but about 100 downloads did happen before I got the corrected version out there. If you were one of those listeners that obviously had sound overlapping at about 20 minutes into the show, feel free to go back to the website and download the corrected version. And again, I apologize about that. I want to remind everybody that there are 4 ways to contact the podcast. The first is by email. Send a message to podcast@thelemacoasttocoast.com. You can go to the Thelema Coast to Coast website, www.thelemacoasttocoast.com. On the website, you can give direct feedback there. The voicemail line is 206-600-4216. I can't stress this enough. This is an audio show, so audio voicemails are greatly appreciated. Didn't get any for this podcast, so everybody listening, if you're interested in giving feedback, do consider calling the voicemail line. And of course, the mailing address is Thelema Coast to Coast, care of John Crow, P.O. Box 7045, Marietta, Georgia. That's Marietta, Georgia, G.A. Zip code is 30065, and that is in the United States. And that is the address to send postcards to. Gotten a number of postcards, and we'll be getting some stickers out shortly. The website has been recently updated with about half a dozen more postcards, and I've got one more to scan in. So thanks to everybody who has been sending those, and I encourage everybody else who wants to get a Thelema Coast to Coast bumper sticker to send a postcard in. And once those are gone for good. Okay, another thing is on the Thelema Coast to Coast website, I've got a poll listed right now asking how you all listen to the podcast. I'm curious to know if you download it and listen to it on your computer, if you listen to it off the website, do you burn CDs of it, do you listen to it on an iPod or other MP3 player? How do you listen to the podcast? This will help me know how to best utilize the medium to deliver it to the most people possible. Also in that direction, the website software that I use has the option for me to send out newsletters or newsletter emails, and I haven't done that yet. I'm not big on spamming people, and I don't want it to be seen as spam, and I've been kind of hesitant to do that, but I'm wondering if people would appreciate an email notification of the newest podcast that has all the information about what's on the podcast, what songs and aspects like that. So if you could let me know whether or not you would mind an email newsletter with each podcast, that means probably about 2 a month or so. I would really appreciate it. Okay, so now here is some really big news for the podcast. And this is in particular for the listeners out in the Bay Area of California. What are you doing the night of June 6th, 2006? That is 060606. If you don't have plans for that Tuesday night, I encourage everybody listening in the Bay Area to go to the bar Jupiter's, because at 6 o'clock on the night of 06/06/06, I will be at Jupiter's hosting the first Thelema Coast to Coast listeners meeting and greeting. There I hope to meet a whole bunch of listeners. I will have Thelema Coast to Coast bumper stickers, and also Keith 418 will be there, and some of the other guests that have been on the show. So if you are in the Bay Area on June 6th, again, Jupiter's, I will have the address of Jupiter's on the Thelema Coast to Coast website. I also want to say thank you very much to Angel, who helped plan the event and select a location. This is a great way to celebrate the day of 666, so I hope everybody listening in the Bay Area can make it. I know 6 is early, but we will be there all night, so feel free to stop by after you get off work and come and meet some of the people who listen to the show, and meet me, Keith 418, and other people who make it possible. And if anyone has any questions, again, please email or go to the website. So I hope to see you there. There was a lot of positive feedback about the Holy Days podcast that I did. On the first day of the writing of the Book of the Law, I played a recording of a woman from England that was produced by Stephen Ashe. During the introduction of that episode, I played a segment of his reading of the first chapter. He has a CD available that has all 3 readings on it, and I wanted to make people aware of that. If you go to the Thelema Coast to Coast website or look in the show notes, you'll see a link to his site. For those that don't remember or did not listen to the first reading of the Book of the Law, here is a segment from the second chapter.
Hear me, ye people of sighing. The sorrows of pain and regret are left to the dead and the dying, the folk that not know me as yet. These are dead, these fellows. They feel not. We are not for the poor and sad. The lords of the earth are our kinsfolk. Is a god to live in a dog? No, but the highest are of us. They shall rejoice, our chosen, who sorroweth is not of us.
As you can hear, the sound quality is quite good. I highly recommend people who want to have a good, clean recording of the Liberal chapters to look into Stephen Ashe's CD. It costs £8 British plus shipping, and that's $2.50 for UK purchasers and about £5 for US purchasers. Again, the link to that is on the Thelema Coast to Coast website. Now, I've also recently received a copy of Aleister Crowley and the Practice of the Magical Diary. This is the revised and expanded edition, published by Red Wheel Weiser and edited by James Wasserman, and has a foreword by J. Daniel Gunther. For those who are not familiar with the earlier versions of the book, this has the copy of John St. John and also Master of the Temple in it, as well as a bunch of introductory material from Wasserman, some preface material, a foreword, and then some glossary and selected bibliography. For those who listened to the previous shows, have heard repeated references about keeping a magical diary. And this is a very good book to have to show you 2 examples of what keeping a magical diary is like. The first one, John St. John, is Crowley, who kept a magical diary while on a magical retreat in Paris. And then the second one is of Akkad, his Master of the Temple. Both of these were published in the Equinox, but it's nice to have them in one volume. I can't say that the introduction does that much. Wasserman selects a bunch of paragraphs or entries from the various diary and throws his own commentary in there. In my opinion, you can skip most of that and go straight to the important material of Crowley's John St. John and the Master of the Temple. I did find the preface very interesting because it gives a list of a number of the books that are going to be coming out soon. And those include, like the Equinox 4.3, the Diary of a Magus, and other papers. It talks about Equinox 3-2 coming out soon from Thelema Media, and some other books, including a book called The Inward Journey by J. Daniel Gunther. For those who don't know, J. Daniel Gunther is the head of the AA lineage that is advertised in this book. So it'll be interesting to see what he has to offer. There are other things that are listed in here as coming out, so I would encourage everybody to check that out. But really, it is a good book for having the diary examples of Crowley and Akkad in one place and easy to reference. It's put together pretty well. Wasserman did an excellent job doing the layout, and the overall appearance is nice. It's very easy to read. The footnotes and everything are nice and clear. So, as I said, go out and get a copy. It's from Red Wheel Weiser, 1995. Well worth the money. All right. So now let's get to some listener feedback. The first is from a listener named Isabel. She writes, 93 John, I really enjoy your anniversary podcast. Keith 418 was inspiring as always. I was also interested in the interview with the Latex Records dude. The interview actually gave me an idea. On my MySpace, I started a reverse remix contest where I would be the one remixing the artist who submit their tracks. After I have them all done, I'll be having the tracks judged by some folks who are either in the industry or whose musical opinions I trust, and the winner, while I'm not 100% sure what the winner will get as of yet, I'm especially looking for Thelemites and or occultists who make music, since a few of the people who would be judging the remix would be fellow OTO members here in New York City. If you could ask some of your listeners who are musicians or who may know musicians who would like to enter, I would be happy to remix them. It's free to enter. If nothing else, you get a free remix out of it. 93, Isabel. One problem, Isabel, you didn't give me a URL to your MySpace. So, anybody interested in this, send me an email, and I will send you back Isabel's private email. Or, Isabel, please go to the Thelema Coast to Coast website and go into the forum and post in there with your MySpace page so people can go and submit music if they want. The next email is from a listener named Harry. He says, I give you some feedback. You are doing a wonderful job. Your pods are absolutely super great. The only problem is that they are few and too short, in my opinion. I am a lone practitioner trying to hook up with the Swedish Lodge of the OTO, but they seem to be non-functional. So I have to rely on you. Please keep up the good work. Hello, Swedish OTO. If you're out there, give me a holler, and I will give you Harry's email so that you can get in touch with him. But thanks for listening, Harry, and I hope you continue to enjoy the show. Okay, the next one is from a listener named Keith. He says, Hi, first let me just say that I really enjoy your podcast. I'm looking forward to the next one. Thanks for the service you're providing to the occult community. You really do a great job as an interviewer. Keith goes on to give me some suggestions, actually some very good feedback. Don't need to go into here, but I did receive the message, Keith, and I will be following up on that. So thank you for that. Similarly, I have an email here from Gil. It says, hello in 93, this is Gil from Israel. A nice little pun on Israel. I like your show very much, and it gives me hours of pleasure and joy. Being quite isolated here in Israel and all. Anyway, you were asking about suggestions for podcasts. Well, concerning the AA and other topics, I would really love to hear James A. Eshelman, ex-College of Thelema. His book on the magical and mystical system of the AA is an amazing accomplishment itself and also very entertaining. And Gil also goes on for another recommendation. Again, I have made the invitation out to Eshelman through the people that I know him. I have no direct contact information for James Eshelman, but this is an open invitation. I would love to have him on the show, so anybody listening who knows him, please pass on that I would love to have him on the show. Anyway, Gil continues, keep up the good work. Love is the law, 93. Apologize for my typos. My Hebrew is better than my English. Well, Gil, you did fine, and thank you for the feedback, and thank you for the suggestions. The next email is